You're watching Racing 360, our preview of Victoria Derby Day from Flemington Racecourse, live into Hong Kong tomorrow. Another of the Group 1 features is for the 3-year-olds. It's the Coolmore Stud Stakes run down the famous Flemington Straight over 1,200 metres. Can Snitzerland, the star filly from the Gerald Ryan stable, continue her unbeaten streak this preparation, so far stringing 4 wins together?
And she was very tough last start as well in doing that, Joe, at Caulfield, winning the Blue Sapphire Stakes. She's got another filly by the name of Nikita, also a colt right at the top called Sizzling, that she's going to have to beat. But as we see what she did last start, Sizzling in the pink finishes on. She's off the canvas, or she lifts off the canvas here, Snitzerland. And you can see Lankan Rupee on the rail there, Michael.
Yeah, Lankan Rupee, a horse that I really like. But Snitzerland, she's tough and seasoned, and I think even though her performances seem to have plateaued, she doesn't seem to have been getting any better. She keeps getting the job done, and she's a professional and she deserves a spot at the top of the market. That
may be the slight concern, is are her performances going the right way? Is it possible for a horse like Nikita to go past her? I think she probably outrates her on a run in the Silver Shadow Stakes a couple of starts ago in Nikita's form line, before she was freshened after a failure in the Golden Rose, where she had a few issues. But look at this explosion that she shows, a real turn of foot that says that she is a top liner, and I think that she can win a Group 1 race down the straight at Flemington.
I like the jump out during the week. She was able to sit in behind the speed and then peel off and then come with a nice turn of foot. And I think if she's ridden in the same way here today, there's a couple that'll get out in front and go pretty hard. Lankan Rupee, who we saw before, he's still a little raw, and I can see him going hard in front, and these fillies getting a nice run in behind.
How about a horse like Sizzling? Do you think the horse is up to the level, the run style of the horse suitable for 1,200 metres at Flemington, a horse that maybe is looking for longer?
Absolutely, I think that works perfectly. The fact that he's got top-level wins over 1,400, 1,600 metres as a younger horse comes in and serves him really well here, as does his run-on sort of pattern with what I expect will be a hard speed. It's 1,200 metres, but it's a tough 1,200 metres up the straight, and I think he'll be in contention.
Great contest, the Coolmore Stud Stakes, with a star group of 3-year-olds to contest the event. Snitzerland to run the hot favourite. Will it be a Schnitzel Quinella, because he is also the sire of Sizzling, who was the champion 2-year-old in Queensland last season? And
trained by Gerald Ryan as well. Master trainer of these types of horses, 3-year-old sprinters.
Nothing between Nikita and Switzerland in the market. I'll go for Nikita.
Okay. Only a small field will contest this year's Group 1 Longines McKinnon Stakes, a traditional lead-up to Tuesday's Melbourne Cup, but many trainers these days seem to bypass the McKinnon with their Cup horses, giving them a Saturday off. So we're left with just the 8 runners.
This race is all about the Cox Plate winner in Ocean Park, raced by Andrew Wong and also Stephen Yan in Hong Kong. Sustained a massive run in winning the Cox Plate last week. What we don't see is when Glenn Boss had to take off, which was about the 800 metres, but what we do see is his fight and wanting to get up over the line to a horse and all too hard that's carrying far less weight than him.
My concern is a 7-day backup and just how tough that run was. First time in his career he's backed up 7 days. He's got to have peaked there for that run, and whether this is an afterthought. Yeah, he's going great and he deserves favouritism, but I think he might be just a little bit vulnerable, again, in a smaller field and tactically as well.
I suppose the big question is what horse is good enough to beat Ocean Park? You've got a horse like Alco Pop that a couple of starts ago at Weight for Age went close, but last start in the Caulfield Cup was done by Dunedin.
Well, this is what he does, though. Time in, time out, Alco Pop always runs a cracking race somewhere during the spring and reels everybody's interest in and lets you down again.
He all but looked the winner here, and then just hit an invisible wall just over a furlong out, and Dunedin gunned him down. Look, I like the move to Craig Williams as the jockey on Alco Pop, and tactically I think it plays out in the right way for him. Glenn Boss talked about being the hunter in the Cox Plate. Well, he's the hunted now. He's a long odds on favourite. In a small field, I see Williams on Alco Pop just tagging him in the run, looking for him, and then getting to his outside in the straight. And I think he's just strong enough to maybe cause an upset, especially at the odds we've seen.
Class Harmonium, can the horse do what he did last year and run a shocking Cox Plate, or run shockingly in the Cox Plate and then win this race? It's very much hit or miss what he'll do out of the gates, but that'll really go some way to dictating the race.
It's huge. It's a flip of a coin whether he jumps on terms or not. If he does, he's probably some sort of rough place hope. Prairie Star is the horse that I've thrown in for value, but I think it's a clear Quinella between Alco Pop and Ocean Park.
Very short Ocean Park, Joe, in the market, but I think even if he's not at his best, he can win.
Justifiably so, he'll be very hard to catch. The best fillies and mares in the land will contest the Group 1 Maya Classic. As always, a wonderful field presented for this race, headed by Streamer, an impressive winner last start of the Tristarc Stakes.
And it's that race, Joe, that you mentioned that's the most significant form guide, and we'll see that very shortly, and the number of runners that she comprehensively beat. Even though the pace of the race was very suitable for her, how it all mapped, she put them away, and can you see runners in behind her turning the tables on her?
No, and give her credit that she had the speed to be able to take up a position, and then not only that, but come back to Bowman and slow them up and then fight them off in the finish. Look, I think a horse, Secret Admirer, is probably, for mine, maybe the best horse in the race, but I don't like her lead up. I'm leaving her out entirely. Just going from Epsom to Caulfield Cup and then back to 1600 again. I've got her on top, Streamer, yeah, stepping up to 1600. I like the pattern, and she's got the quality.
She's not exactly a winner, Secret Admirer, is she? But she's very much a horse that can be there.
The horse that I like for second, Yosei, is drawn 1 again for the 9th time in her career. I see her getting a cosy run, maybe 3 back the fence and booming home. And Soft Sand, if there's ever a horse that needed to draw barrier 12, I'm not sure if I've ever said that.
Sand. I'm done with it.
She's just been terribly unlucky.
You know what'll happen now, don't you?
Oh, yeah, no, but Raspberry's the one at big odds that I've
She was
included
always
there.
destined for Group 1 glory. It may well be tomorrow now you've said that. It's always the way, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Now to the undercard on Derby Day, and the Yellow Glen Stakes is a Group 2 feature, an open handicap and an open race.
Katana has come out. The favourite will be How Much Do You Love Me, will be at even money, and outside of that horse, any number of chances. That's the big question. Do you go for Con Carricasanis horse that's on the way up, or do you make a stand against him? I think he's really short and well found.
Oh, definitely. The odds seem very short. There's a bit of takeover target about the story with this horse. Very cheap buy, comes through the Ramornie handicap up in Grafton, a country sprint race which can produce a good horse, and this was the race where takeover target made his name, and I think it's a statement race for him, but one where he's a little bit vulnerable. There's no superstars up against him, but geez, they're going to be gunning for him late.
Well, he does it easy enough in the Caulfield Sprint, doesn't he? He has an extra 100 metres. He's got the straight and the crowd. There'll be over 100,000 people tomorrow at Flemington. He'll have all of those things, Joe, to try and cope with. I don't want to take even money to say that he will, that's all.
How Much Do You Love Me going for 5 straight wins, but he does keep stepping up to the plate every time.
That's true.
They're raving about his jump out during the week. I'll stick with him. Tiger Tees with the blinkers on for the first time in a long time. He's got some quality, and Miss Marks maps to get a nice run just in behind the speed and peel off late.
15 to 1, I've gone to Golden Archer for value.
Okay. The final simulcast race that you'll see in Hong Kong is race 9 on the card from Flemington, and that's the Chatham Stakes. Carrying saddlecloth number 1 here is the star Kiwi Wall Street. It's been a while though since we've seen him in the winner's circle.
It's dimming a little bit, that star. It has dimmed, but I think that in this quality of race, he hasn't been in this sort of company for about 3 years, Wall Street. He only has 59 to carry. He is conceding a little bit of weight, but I'm prepared to take the odds at around $25 that he can run a better race. He'll have to beat Faulkner, though. That's the horse that's on the way up. But what do you make of the strength of Faulkner's form?
Well, I've got no doubt that Wall Street is the best horse in the race, and at his best, length's better than anything here. Faulkner's he's just got a solid sort of record. I don't think anything aspirational about him being a Group 1 horse in the future, but last start was tough. I think speed, I see speed in the race, and that's the key for him, and the horse that I've got in for second, Instinction. Just with McClintock and Dusty Star coming across from wide barriers, I think there'll be pressure on here, and that suits him a lot.
Pretty good win this from Instinction, wasn't it, at Caulfield?
Yeah, and I see this being a similarly run race and doing it again. I've gone the Great Quinella, Faulkner and Instinction.
Okay, I've gone Wall Street to beat Faulkner and Instinction, but certainly have a lot of respect for freewheeling in the race, Joe.
And I've got a lot of respect for Wall Street here too. He worries me, and I'm not sure what sort of quote he's at, but you've nearly convinced me, Jason.
Well, you know, at 25 to 1 overseas at the moment, I think it's worth a spec at that price.
Okay. So that's our look at Derby Day, which kicks off the famed Melbourne Cup week at Flemington. Who will hold the Melbourne Cup trophy aloft next Tuesday? We'll find out after this break. As we take a break, let's hear more from David Hall, who himself has trained a Melbourne Cup winner, the champion mare Makybe Diva.
Because she was very much an English import. She had Stayer written all over her as a type. She was a very big, leggy, all frames type of backward filly when we first got eyes on her. And obviously her bloodline suggested that she was going to be a stayer. So there was never any rush, but there was never any thoughts about making her a sprinter, that's for sure. It was a huge excitement day. I mean, I had my whole family there, and we went into the race with three runners. Obviously, Makybe was the one that, was the main chance. But it was a lot of plan, a lot of preparation. It was a long 12 months getting there, and she'd had some unlucky draws and been running fourth and running well, and you just never thought it was going to happen. But when it actually did, of course, it's a sense of relief, but the excitement and what happens from there on in is pretty hard to describe. Your whole world changes, and certainly the next sort of 24, 48 hours and the next weeks after that cup is something you'll never forget. I think if anybody said after a horse wins a Melbourne Cup, do you think they've got two more in them? You'd be a fool to say yes. So, look, I left her in really good hand, and she went down to Lee Friedman, and she went on to win another two, which probably the help of some wet tracks may have, brought about the reason why. But it was also the reason why I was probably given the licence to train in Hong Kong.
The champion becomes a legend. Makybe Diva has won it.
It worked out well for both of us. I was able to get off the mark in my first year with a few winners, and then we built up the stable and came across absolute champion a couple of years later. So it was a good result for both.